I want to give a short review about my smartwatch. In January, my health insurance offered me $150 to buy any medical supply I needed, and I come up with the idea of buying me a smartwatch. Patricia's had several Fitbits, and she just thoroughly enjoys them. They answer, she can talk on her phone through them, do all kinds of stuff. All I wanted one was just mostly to count my steps for me, give me my O2, give me maybe a sleep report, just some minor stuff. So I bought a Garman Venu2 smartwatch from Amazon for about $84 with shipping and everything involved. And of course my insurance paid $150 of it, so it didn't cost me very much. So I was happy that I got a good watch to wear, a Garmin watch to wear for a small amount of money. Well, I've had it since January. This is November, so I can give you a pretty good review on it. I hate the damn thing. Pardon my language, but I just hate it. I hate wearing it. I can't get it to work half the time. Starting off, I had a hard time figuring out how to use it. Of course, any 6-year-old kid probably could have told me what I needed to do faster than I could figure out how to work it. But when I finally got it somewhat usable, that I was satisfied, I took all the crap off of it. It does so much stuff, but it's nothing that I want. It's just crap. Like you can sign up, and when you walk, you're walking with someone else, and you can track of how they're doing, how far they walked. I don't care about any of that. I just wanted a watch that counted my steps. So the first thing right off the bat was I went into the app. I measured how far my step was. I think I came up with like 25 inches. I walked for 10 feet and counted how many steps and divided it by 10. I put in my weight and my height and the length of my step, and set up so that when I walked, it could measure my distance and keep track of how many steps and the distance I walked, which I thought was a good thing. It's not accurate. I can look and, just for example, suppose my watch says I've walked 300 steps, and I start walking from that point, and I count my steps, 300 steps. Well, when I get to the end, it's like 700 and something steps. It's just not accurate. I don't know what the deal is. It's just not very accurate watch. It's a Garmin Venu2, so my review is going to be bad. I'm unhappy with it. Also, I wanted to be able to measure my O2. Since I have sleep apnea, I like to know what my O2 is while I'm sleeping at night and anytime during the day. Well, it does not keep track of it does keep track on the app, but it doesn't measure your O2 unless you tell it to measure your O2. So you stop, you go through the settings on the watch till you get to your pulse ox, and you press the button, and then you have to wait. Doesn't take very long, 20 seconds maybe, and it'll go through the system to check your O2, and then when it comes time to read it, it says error, you moved, you got to redo it. You go through that 3 or 4 times when you finally get your O2, and then it'll give you a figure. Well, I was a medic for 17 years. I have a good O2 machine, and so I was just checking it with what my watch said. My watch would say I would be, say, 91, and my O2 machine would say I'm 96. So it's the O2 machine on my watch is not accurate. I've done everything. I've read up what I need to do. I've worn my wristband tight. I've worn my wristband above there's a little notch on your elbow, between your elbow and your hand. I've worn my watch both above it and below it, trying to find a different position on my arm. And it's never accurate. The third thing I don't like about it, the most important thing is I don't like it that it doesn't count my steps right. Something else I need to talk about that, not just to be rambling, but I'm rambling, is In the mornings, I have to move my pickup out of the driveway so my wife wouldn't have. It makes it easier on her to back her car out of the garage and out to the street, which is no big deal. But every morning I get up, and when I move my pickup, I load up my little dog who loves to go riding, and we just drive around the neighborhood. We make one big giant loop around the neighborhood and then come back and park my pickup in the street. Well, the whole distance that I'm driving, my watch is counting steps. It may say 6,000 steps just on that drive, which to me, I'm not walking, I'm driving. It shouldn't be marking steps, but I guess it's marking distance. I don't know what it's doing. So right off the bat, the counts for the step is inaccurate. So when I get back and I park my pickup, I have to look at my watch and see how many steps it says, and then subtract that when I'm gone on my walk to see how far I walked. Since I'm 78 years old, I can't walk like I used to. 5 years ago, I could walk the whole 6 mile distance in one walking, and it didn't bother me. And I would walk 6 miles a day. Well, now I walk about 1,600 steps. I've measured out on the walking track what 1,600 steps is. And I do that 4, 5, 6 times a day at different intervals so that I walk when I first wake up, I walk an hour later, walk an hour later, walk an hour later. I do that until I get 6,000 steps in, and which is only 3 miles. I've cut down to about 3 miles, especially this summer since it's gotten kind of hot, and it's hard for me to walk in the heat of the day. But I can knock out 6,000 steps, 3 miles early in the morning, and everything's okay in about 2 hours, which is no big deal. But the measurements are wrong. I mean, I've counted them. I've looked at the watch, seen how much it said, and then I walked, say, 400 steps, counting 400 steps. Then I look at it, and it shows me way over 400 steps. So it's inaccurate. I don't tolerate inaccurate stuff. Probably the third and most irritating thing is you can be wearing your watch, and you have to put your finger on it to make it come on, and then you have to spin the dial to look and see what you want to go to, like steps or pulse ox or sleep, and inevitably it'll go into the power saving mode, and then for some reason, I don't know how I'm doing it, but when I put it in the power saving mode, bumping into it when I didn't mean to, any number of things, everything goes black, and you can't see what's on the screen. So you can't scroll through and find power saving to turn it off. And it's the most stupidest thing I ever dealt with. It takes me forever to get it where I can get it back on. And I thought several times, I'm an old man and I'm kind of cranky. I've thrown things out in the yard for less just because I'm tired of messing with them. And I'm at that point where I'm about ready to just throw this thing out and quit even messing with it. Now, it does tell the time. It does tell me what date it is. And it does tell me if I get a text or something on my phone. So for those reasons, that's the only salvation that I have. Of course, I get the same thing just by carrying my phone and looking at my phone if I have a message or what the time is or what the weather is or if I get a text message. So, it's 50-50 whether to keep it or not. But if I had my review, if I was going to put a review on Google about this watch, I don't even think I'd give it a 1. So if you're thinking about buying one, and something else, the Venu2 is like $450 or $500. And I don't know if they corrected the mistakes or not, but to me, that's just out of sight too much money. I'm sorry. You could get a cheap app on your phone that counts your steps and the distance you walk, because most everybody carries their phone when they're out walking anyway. In case, for me, if I fall, I can call for help. And then you don't have to worry about being on your wrist and all that stuff, being too tight. It's irritating to wear. Oh, and another thing, on my sleep, I wanted it to check my sleep. It doesn't check my pulse ox while I'm sleeping, but it does track when you go to sleep and when you wake up. But the thing is, suppose sometimes in the afternoon, after you ate lunch and everything, you decide to go lay down. Well, you go lay down, and then about 10 minutes later, it's beeping you, telling you to get up and get active. God, that makes me mad. If I'm going to take a nap, I don't want my phone waking me up, telling me to get up and get active and start walking. I know some brain put that in there to motivate people to get up and start walking and do stuff. But to me, it shouldn't do nothing unless you tell it to do it. Does that make sense? I don't think they care. They're geared up for the 20-year-old kid that runs every day and he's active and he doesn't take naps and it doesn't do anything. But for an old person like me, this watch is just a waste of money. Anyway, that's my rant. Everybody be blessed and have a good day.